Hi, welcome to this e-learning. Okay, so now we will discuss about 2013 O-Level Paper 1, Question 1. Okay, we will discuss about the advertising account. Okay, this is the question. The question actually asks us to, number one, prepare an advertising account. Number two, prepare a rent receivable account. Okay, over here we will discuss about the advertising account on this e-learning video over here. The question asks us to prepare an advertising account for the year ended 31st August 2013. So in order to do this question, you should actually understand the question first. You should understand what the question really wants. Okay, so now I am very clear that the question wants me to do an advertising account for the period from 1st September 2012 to 31st August 2013. So let us look over here. During the year ended 31st August 2013, the following payment were made and received by check. Here, advertising 725, okay, advertising 695, advertising paid in advance 240. So that means from all this information, I understand that what they want us to do is do an advertising expense account. So what do we really understand about this advertising expense account? So imagine you are Ken Hong, okay? The following balances were in the books of Ken Hong. So imagine you are Ken Hong and you are doing a small business just like Ken Hong. Okay, so at the end of the year, Ken Hong would want to know how much is his advertising expense, how much is his advertising expenses, okay, how much he has spent on advertising expenses during the year. So this is what we understand. So if Ken Hong have not studied principle of account at O-level before, he would not know how to do the advertising account in this T account format. So if we were to ask Ken Hong, or Ken Hong himself would be interested to know how much advertising expense he has spent during the year, then Ken Hong would probably do a workings like this in order to gather how much is his advertising expense that he has spent during the year. So okay, so first of all, Ken Hong would see here, okay, how much he has paid for the advertising. So on October 15 October 2012, Ken Hong paid $725 by check for advertising expenses. And then on April 10th, 2013, Ken Hong paid $695 on advertising expense. Okay, so the total that Ken Hong paid for advertising is $1,420. Out of this $1,420, $640 was paid in respect of last year advertising. So now look here. On 1st September 2012, advertising 640 accrued. Accrued means not yet paid. Okay, 600. That means, in other words, on 1st September, at the beginning of the year, 1st September 2012, Ken Hong owes 640 of advertising expenses, which he has incurred last year. Okay, which he has incurred last year. So during the year, Ken Hong paid advertising $1,420. Out of this $1,420, $640 was paid in respect of last year's advertising. So So out of this 1,420, 640 was paid in respect of last year's advertising. That would leave $780 um, that is paid in respect of um, this year's advertising. And out of this $780, 240 was paid in respect of next year's advertising. Okay, so look at here, advertising paid in advance was 240. On 31st August 2013, advertising paid in advance was 240. That means at the end of the year, Ken Hong paid 240 advertising expenses in advance. That means this 240 was paid in respect of next year's advertising expense. Okay, it is paid, that means part of it is next year's advertising expense, but he paid in advance, but he paid during the year. That means he paid during included in this 695, 240 is actually in respect of next year's advertising expense. So out of this 780, 240 is in respect of next year's advertising. So that would leave 540 that was paid in respect of this year's advertising expense. So in other words, Ken Hong has found out that his advertising expense for this year is 540. So a businessman, an entrepreneur, probably a small business owner, that don't have good accounting knowledge of debit and credit, or don't have good knowledge on the T account format of accounts, would probably do their expense account, would probably work out their expense account this way in order to find out the actual expense, for example, advertising expense for this current year. So now that means the purpose of doing an advertising account is mainly to find out the advertising expense for this current year. Okay, so now with this understanding, the POA O level syllabus require you to, especially in this question, it requires you to do your advertising account in this T account format. Okay, so we after studying O level, we would have good knowledge of debit and credit. Advertising is an expense account. It is a debit nature account. Okay, so that means advertising is actually a debit in the profit and loss account. Okay, it is a debit balance. Advertising is a debit balance. Okay, so that means the purpose of us is to find out what is the advertising account, what is the advertising expense this year that should be transferred to the profit and loss account. So first of all, you draw out the structure of this advertising account. Okay, over here, this part, you don't need to do this part in your actual answer for your O level. This part is just for me to show you and explain to you. So just like what Ken Hong did. So in order to find out your advertising expense, you see here Ken Hong left out. So first of all, what Ken Hong did is he lay out how much he has paid for advertising expense. So write up your year properly, and then over here I will put how much he has paid for the advertising expense. Okay, then here is 2012. This is the beginning balance. The balance brought down is on the credit side. That is because advertising paid in advance was a liability. That means at the beginning of the year, Ken Hong owes 240 for advertising. Probably Ken Hong on the 1st August, that means on 1st September 2012, Ken Hong owes 640 for advertising expense. That means this is a liability. He owes probably Singapore Press Holdings 640 for advertising expense. So the balance brought down would be on the credit side, which is on the negative side. Put 640 because why? It's a liability. It's a liability, therefore it is a credit balance. If it's a credit balance, the balance brought down would be on the credit side. Okay, if you want to look at this, it's also true. You see, you take the bank and then you less here payment made in respect of last year advertising. So over here, this side is less. So if you think of it this way, it's less, so you put in this side, it's also correct. So this is the balance brought down. It should be on the credit side. Okay, so then this is the advertising paid on this year. So if he paid the advertising, his advertising expense will increase. So you put on the debit side. The debit side is the plus side. Advertising expense is a debit nature account. So on the debit side is a plus. So here is the bank. Okay, so the profit here 2013. This one you can leave one line and leave it blank first. Then here 2013 31st August. Here we put balance carried down. Okay, you see balance carried down is a minus. Over here, when we do this working, payment made in advance here is also a minus. So we put 240 over here. The other way to think of it is we must always think the balance brought down. Always think of the balance brought down. This balance brought down. The balance brought down is on the correct side. Correct side one. Okay, so here on 31st August 2013, advertising paid in advance was 240. So advertising paid in advance. So if you pay the advertising in advance, think. Okay, if I pay the advertising in advance to Singapore Press Holdings, SPH, okay, so now I think, will I owe Singapore Press Holdings, or will it be Singapore Press Holdings will owe me 240? Yeah, I know. If I paid 240 in advance, in other words, Singapore Press Holdings owes me 240 worth of advertising services. So that means I can think of it in such a way that SPH owes me 240. That means SPH is something like my debtor. I mean, directly or indirectly, they owe me 240 because I paid the advertising in advance. Okay, I paid in advance. So they owe me their services. Okay, they owe me the services. So that's why the balance brought down. I can actually do this first. September 1st, balance brought down 240. Then the balance carried down will be on the opposite side. So I put here 31st August, balance carried down 240. So then I draw two lines on the same level, both sides, and I check which side is bigger. So I check. So when I calculate, I find that this side is bigger. So I put 1420. Then I put the same number, 1420 here. So 1420 minus 240 minus 640, I will get 540. So 540, then I put here profit and loss account, because this 540 is the advertising expense for this year. So that means, in other words, it's a similar working like this, just that it is in a different format. So if you work it out this way, this is your advertising paid, so you minus advertising made in respect of last year advertising. Okay, and then you minus advertising made in advance, you will get your advertising expense, which would be debited as an expense to the profit and loss account, which will be, in other words, which will be transferred to the profit and loss account. So you put your profit and loss account. Okay, so yeah, go through this. Okay, I can even make this sheet available for you. You can download for free this round, and look it thoroughly. Then you would be able to understand on this. Okay, thanks for watching and see you again.